The man I loved for 5 years said he still loved her. His ex. So I walked out of the cafe into the rain and called the one person who'd always wanted to set me up. Because sometimes the best way to break free is to walk away and never look back. The rain tapped against the window like impatient fingers, a steady rhythm that matched the pounding in my chest. Adrian sat across from me at our usual cafe, the one with the chipped blue mugs and the barista who always remembered his order. He stirred his coffee absently, the spoon clinking against porcelain, his eyes fixed on the table instead of me. "We need to talk," he had said. 5 years. 5 years of shared birthdays, inside jokes, lazy Sundays tangled in bedsheets, and now, this star. "I think I still love her," he admitted, voice low, as if that made it hurt less. The words hung between us, heavy and suffocating. Her. The ex he swore was just a friend, the one whose name had slipped into conversations too often for comfort. My fingers tightened around my own cup, the heat seeping into my skin, but I felt cold. "You think?" My voice was steadier than I expected. He winced. "I mean, I do. I love her." The cafe buzzed around us. A couple laughing over shared dessert, an old man reading a newspaper, the barista humming as she wiped down the counter. Life moved on indifferent. I stood abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. "Then go be with her." "Lena, wait." But I was already walking, the bell above the door jingling behind me. The rain soaked through my sweater within seconds, but I didn't care. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Him, probably. I ignored it. Instead, I called the only person who wouldn't tell me to give him time, or maybe he's confused. My mother answered on the second ring. "Lena, is everything okay?" I took a shaky breath. "Remember that guy you wanted me to meet? The one from your friend's family?" Pause. Then carefully, "Yes? I'll do it." While Lena and Adrian's conversation unfolded, the cafe had its own stories brewing. At the corner table, Mrs. Cattry, the retired schoolteacher, sipped her chamomile tea and watched the young couple with quiet curiosity. She had seen breakups before. This cafe was a stage for them after all. But something about the girl's stiff shoulders, the way she didn't cry, made her sigh. If she thought, always so sure love is the end of the world. Behind the counter, Jake, the barista, wiped down the espresso machine. His shift was almost over, and he was itching to get home to his dog, a hyperactive terrier who'd probably destroyed another cushion. He didn't notice the breakup. He was too busy texting his sister about their dad's upcoming birthday. "What do you get a man who already has everything?" she had asked. "Diabetes," Jake replied. "Get him a cake so big it'll scare him." His sister sent back a laughing emoji. Life went on. Lena's mother hesitated before responding. "Are you sure? You always said you didn't want an arranged meeting." "I'm sure." Her voice was hollow. Her mother exhaled. "All right. His name is Rohan. He's a lawyer. I'll set it up." Lena hung up, staring at her rain-blurred reflection in a store window. She didn't know Rohan. Didn't care to. But if Adrian could walk away so easily, so could she. The morning of the meeting arrived with an unseasonably bright sun, as if the universe had decided to mock my mood. I stood in front of my closet, staring at the neatly hung clothes like they held some secret answer. What does one wear to meet a stranger they might marry out of spite? A dress felt too eager, jeans too casual. I settled on a cream-colored blouse and dark trousers. Something that said I'm not trying, but I also don't look like I just got dumped. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Adrian again. The 5th call this week. I swiped it away without reading the notification. Mom had insisted on picking me up as if I might back out at the last second. She pulled into the driveway right on time, her car humming softly as she rolled down the window. "You look nice," she said, eyeing me carefully. "Thanks," I muttered, sliding into the passenger seat. She hesitated before shifting the car into drive. "Lena, are you sure about this?" I stared out the window. "Does it matter?" She didn't answer. We were meeting at the Spice Route, a quiet little place known for its masala chai and butter-laden parathas. It was fancier than my usual haunts, the kind of spot where the silverware actually matched. Mom had chosen it, neutral territory, she said. Rohan was already there when we arrived. He stood as we approached, and I noted the way he moved, controlled, deliberate. Tall, with sharp features and a watch that probably cost more than my rent. His handshake was firm, his smile polite but not overly warm. "Lena," he said. "It's nice to finally meet you." Finally. as if this had been inevitable. I forced a smile. Likewise. Mom, ever the diplomat, launched into small talk. How was work? Wasn't the weather lovely? Did he try the kebabs here? Rohan answered smoothly, his voice even, his expressions measured. A lawyer's demeanor. I wondered if he ever let himself sound unsure. Then, as if sensing my thoughts, his gaze flicked to me. Your mother tells me you're in marketing. Yes, I said. Though right now, I'm more in the business of dramatic life changes. A beat of silence. Then to my surprise he laughed. Not a polite chuckle but a real, startled laugh. Fair enough. Mom exhaled, relieved. While we talked, the cafe staff moved around us. A young waitress, Priya, balanced 3 plates of biryani on her arms, her brow slightly furrowed. She'd been up late studying for her accounting exam, and the lack of sleep made her movements just a second slower than usual. At the table next to ours, a man snapped his fingers impatiently. Excuse me? We've been waiting for our drinks. Priya's smile didn't waver. I'll check on that for you right away, sir. As she turned, her tray wobbled. A spoon clattered to the floor. Rohan leaned down, picked it up and handed it to her without a word. She blinked. Oh, thank you. He nodded, then returned to our conversation as if nothing had happened. I filed the moment away. So, I said, stirring my chai. Why are you doing this? Mom stiffened. Lena. No, it's a valid question, Rohan said. He set his cup down. My parents have been persistent. And after a certain point, it's easier to meet someone than to keep arguing. So you're here out of laziness. Mom looked like she wanted to disappear. But Rohan just smirked. Partly. Also, I'm 32. At this point, even my dry cleaner asks when I'm settling down. I snorted. He tilted his head. What about you? I could have lied. Could have said something vague about wanting stability, about trusting my mother's judgment. But the words tumbled out before I could stop them. My boyfriend of 5 years told me he's still in love with his ex. So here I am. Mom closed her eyes. Rohan didn't flinch. Rebound marriage. Something like that. He studied me for a long moment. Then to my surprise he said, well, at least you're honest about it. While we talked, Adrian was texting. Adrian ***, Lena, please. I need to explain. Adrian ***, it's not what you think. Adrian ***, can we just talk? My phone buzzed in my purse. I ignored it. After an hour, Mom excused herself, suddenly remembering an appointment, leaving Rohan and me alone. We stepped outside, the afternoon sun casting long shadows. So, he said, was I as terrible as you expected? I shrugged. You didn't recite poetry or try to impress me with your salary. So no. Disappointing. I had a whole PowerPoint prepared. I laughed despite myself. He hesitated, then said, for what it's worth. I'm sorry about your boyfriend. I looked away. Ex-boyfriend. Right. Pause. Do you want to do this again? I should have said no. Should have walked away. But something in his tone, not hopeful, not pushy, just open, made me nod. Sure. The week after meeting Rohan passed in a strange haze. Work kept me busy, endless meetings, last-minute campaign edits, and a client who couldn't decide between bold and modern, or classic and timeless. My coworkers noticed my distraction, but no one asked. Maybe they assumed it was stress. Maybe they just didn't care. Adrian, on the other hand, cared too much. His calls had turned into texts, then voicemails, then, when I still didn't respond, messages through friends. Lena, please. Just tell me you're okay. Sis. I deleted them all. Rohan had texted exactly once since our meeting. Thursday 7 p.m. The Italian place on Elm. And I'd replied with a simple sure. No flirting, no overthinking. Just dinner. But now, standing in front of my mirror on Thursday evening, I hesitated. Was this moving on? Or just running away? My phone buzzed. Mom ***, don't overthink it. Just go. I rolled my eyes. He knew me too well. Rohan was already seated when I arrived, scrolling through something on his phone. He looked up as the hostess led me to the table, and for the first time, I noticed the faint shadows under his eyes. You look tired, I said before I could stop myself. He raised an eyebrow. And you're late. Only by 5 minutes. which in lawyer time is practically an hour. I smirked. Should I apologize to your billable hours? He leaned back amused. I'll let it slide. This time. The waiter appeared and Rohan ordered a bottle of wine without checking the menu. Something expensive, judging by the way the waiter's eyebrows lifted slightly. You always this decisive? I asked. Only when I'm sure of what I want. The way he said it made me pause. In the kitchen, Chef Marco was having a night. The new sous chef had burned the risotto, *twice*, and a VIP table had sent back their osso buco for being too tender. *troppo tenero. Marco muttered, slamming a pan onto the stove. Next they'll complain the wine is too drinkable. His assistant Lucia stifled a laugh. Maybe they wanted it to fight back a little. Marco shot her a look, but there was no real heat in it. He'd hired her fresh out of culinary school, and though she made mistakes, she learned fast. Unlike some people. He glared at the sous chef, who was now nervously chopping parsley like his life depended on it. Just remake it, Marco sighed. And for God's sake, watch the heat this time. Over appetizers, Rohan asked about my job, and for once I didn't give the usual polite spiel. I told him about the client who'd rejected 11 logo designs because they didn't feel purple enough, and the time I'd accidentally sent an email campaign with a typo in the subject line. *unbeatable deals* instead of unbeatable deals, I groaned. I had to blame it on autocorrect. Rohan chuckled. I once cited the wrong case law in court. Judge nearly laughed me out of the room. You make a mistake. I feigned shock. Rarely. He sipped his wine. But spectacularly. It was easy. Too easy. The kind of conversation that usually took years to build, not 2 dinners. Then, as if sensing the shift, he asked, Have you heard from him? I didn't need to clarify who. Yes. And nothing. I twirled my fork. He doesn't get to come back just because he changed his mind. Rohan studied me. You're angrier than you let on. I shrugged. I'm here, aren't I? Pause. Then quietly, fair *. While we ate, Adrian was still trying. Adrian ***, I drove by your place. Your lights were off. Are you staying somewhere else? Adrian ***, Lena, this isn't like you. Just talk to me. Adrian ***, please. I silenced my phone. After dinner, Rohan offered to drive me home. I declined. I like walking, I said. Clears my head. He nodded. Then I'll walk with you. We strolled in comfortable silence for a while, the city lights flickering around us. Then out of nowhere he said, I was engaged once. I blinked. Oh. 3 years ago. She called it off a month before the wedding. I waited, but he didn't elaborate. Why? He shoved his hands in his pockets. She said I was too calculated. That I treated relationships like contracts. I snorted. Lawyer. Exactly. He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. Point is, I get it. The wanting to prove something. I didn't ask if that's what this was. Him proving something. Maybe I didn't want to know. Outside my apartment, Rohan hesitated. So, next time. I tilted my head. You're assuming there'll be a next time. Aren't you? I couldn't help but smile. Maybe. He nodded, satisfied, and turned to leave. Then over his shoulder. Oh, and Lena? Answer your phone. I frowned. What? But he was already walking away, hands in his pockets, whistling softly. Confused, I pulled out my phone. Unknown number *, you're really ignoring me for some guy you just met? My blood ran cold. Adrian had texted from a new number. The text from Adrian's new number glared up at me, its words sharp as shattered glass. You're really ignoring me for some guy you just met. My fingers hovered over the screen, delete, block, or unleash the fury simmering in my chest. I chose none of the above. Instead, I dropped my phone into my bag like it had burned me and took the stairs to my apartment 2 at a time. Inside, I double-locked the door, poured myself a glass of wine that was definitely larger than socially acceptable, and stared out the window at the city lights. 5 years. 5 years of love, of plans, of believing we were unshakable. And now he was acting like a jealous ex after 2 weeks. The audacity was almost impressive. My phone buzzed again. I didn't check it. I woke up to 7 missed calls. 3 from Adrian, 2 from my mother, one from an unknown number and one from my coworker Priya with a frantic asterisk. Where are you? The client is here early. Sis. I groaned, rolling out of bed. Right. The one thing that couldn't be derailed by my personal disasters. I arrived at the office 20 minutes late, my hair hastily tied back and my coffee sloshing dangerously in its cup. Priya pounced the second I stepped off the elevator. Thank God, she hissed. Mr. Hayes has been pacing like a caged tiger. He wants to see the revised campaign now. I shoved my bag under my desk. Tell him I'm here and need 5 minutes to pull it up. She hesitated. Also, there's a guy in the lobby asking for you? My stomach dropped. What does he look like? Tall, dark hair, kind of intense? He said he's an old friend. Here. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. Tell security he's not welcome. Priya's eyes widened. Oh, got it. She scurried off, already pulling out her phone. I exhaled slowly. This was escalating faster than I'd expected. While I prepped for my meeting, the office hummed with its usual mid-morning chaos. At the reception desk, Mark from accounting leaned over to whisper to Priya. Who was that guy? Ex-boyfriend. Priya shrugged. No idea, but Lena looked like she wanted to murder him with her bare hands. Damn. Must have been a bad breakup. Meanwhile, in the break room, our boss, Diane, scrolled through emails while nursing her third espresso. She didn't notice the hush chatter, or if she did, she didn't care. As long as the work got done, office drama was background noise. Somehow, I made it through the presentation without screaming. Mr. Hayes nodded approvingly at the revised designs, signed off on the budget, and even cracked a joke about my unshakable professionalism. If only he knew. As the meeting wrapped, Diane pulled me aside. Everything okay? You seem off. I forced a smile. Just a rough morning. Personal stuff. She studied me for a moment, then nodded. Take a long lunch. Get your head straight. Grateful, I ducked out before she could ask for details. I should have known Adrian wouldn't be so easily dismissed. He was waiting outside the building, leaning against his car like some tragic romantic hero. When he saw me, he straightened, his expression equal parts hope and desperation. Lena. I kept walking. He caught up in 2 strides. Please just talk to me. 5 minutes. I whirled on him. What part of we're done is confusing you? His jaw tightened. You don't just throw away 5 years without a conversation. I didn't throw anything away. You did. Pause. Then quieter. I made a mistake. The words should have meant something. Weeks ago they might have shattered me. Now they just sounded hollow. I shook my head. It's too late, Adrian. His hand shot out, catching my wrist. Is it because of him? That lawyer. I yanked free. This isn't about Rohan. This is about you choosing her. Again. His face crumpled. I don't love her. I was confused. Save it. I stepped back, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. We're done. For the first time he looked truly scared. Like he'd only just realized I meant it. Mrs. Catry, the retired schoolteacher from the cafe, happened to be passing by. She recognized Lena immediately, the girl from the breakup weeks ago. Now standing toe-to-toe with the same man, her spine straight and her eyes blazing. Mrs. Catry thought. The reckoning. She didn't stop to watch. Some battles weren't hers to witness. I didn't go back to work. Instead, I walked, aimlessly, furiously, until my feet ached and my thoughts settled into something resembling clarity. My phone buzzed. Not Adrian this time. Rohan asterisk still alive? A surprised laugh escaped me. Barely. Rohan asterisk dinner tomorrow? I'll bring wine. You bring the dramatic updates. Asterisk. I hesitated. Then deal. The next morning, I woke to the sound of rain tapping against my bedroom window. A steady, rhythmic patter that did nothing to soothe the unease still coiled in my chest. Adrian's confrontation had left me restless, my dreams fractured with half-remembered arguments and the ghost of his grip on my wrist. I rolled over, grabbing my phone from the nightstand. Rohan asterisk still on for tonight? I blinked at the message, the events of yesterday rushing back. Dinner. Wine. Dramatic updates. Me asterisk unless you're scared of my dramatic updates. Rohan asterisk I'm a lawyer. Drama is my breakfast. Asterisk. A smirk tugged at my lips. Then another notification. Mom call me when you're up. Important. Asterisk. I frowned. That couldn't be good. You need to come over, Mom said the second I answered. No greeting. No small talk. Why? I sat up, rubbing sleep from my eyes. What's wrong? Pause. Then carefully, Adrian showed up here. The words hit like a punch. Asterisk what? Asterisk. He was waiting outside when I got back from yoga. Said he needed to talk to me about you. Her voice tightened. Lena, he looked desperate. My grip on the phone turned white-knuckled. What did you say? I told him to leave. Said. But he kept saying he made a mistake, that he's terrified of losing you. It was intense. I closed my eyes. Of course he'd gone to her. Of course he'd tried to manipulate his way back in through the one person who'd always had a soft spot for him. I'm handling it, I said flatly. Are you? The question hung between us. While I argued with my mother, Mrs. Patel from across the hall peered through her peephole, watching as Adrian paced the building's lobby for the third time this week. Such a handsome boy, she thought. But so troubled. She considered calling the super, but then again, young love was always messy. And it made for excellent gossip at tomorrow's mahjong game. I threw myself into meetings and deadlines, burying Adrian's audacity under spreadsheets and client revisions. By noon, even Priya had stopped asking if I was okay, probably because I'd snapped at her for breathing too loudly near my desk. At 1 p.m., Diane dropped a new project on my lap. The Kensington account needs a full rebrand. They want concepts by Friday. I stared at the folder. Friday? That's... I know. He gave me a look. But you're the only one who can handle them without crying. I sighed. Fine. Also. She hesitated. There's a guy downstairs. Again. My stomach lurched. Tell security. Already done. But Lena, she lowered her voice. If this becomes a problem, HR will need to get involved. Translation. Get your personal life under control before it affects your job. I nodded stiffly. Rohan's text came through at 2 p.m. Rohan *** breaking news. My client just cried because I suggested settling. You win for drama today. ***. I snorted. Was it at least an ugly cry? Rohan *** tears, snot, the whole performance. 10 out of 10. ***. For the first time all day I smiled. I left work early claiming a migraine. The truth? I couldn't shake the image of Adrian cornering my mother, of him lurking outside my office, of him refusing to let go. But when I stepped into my apartment building's lobby, he was there. Waiting. We stared at each other for a long, silent moment. Then quietly he said, You changed your hair. I tied it up this morning. A meaningless detail, but it shattered something in me. Why are you doing this? My voice was raw. You left. You chose her. Now you're stalking me, harassing my mother. I panicked. His eyes were red-rimmed, desperate. I thought I still had feelings for her, but the second you walked away I realized. Realized what? That you don't like losing. I stepped back. This isn't about me, Adrian. It's about you hating that I'm moving on. He flinched. That's not true. Isn't it? I gestured to the lobby to him. You wouldn't be here if I'd just sat around crying. For the first time he had no comeback. Jorge, the building's doorman, watched the argument from his desk. He liked Lena. She always remembered his granddaughter's name. This guy though, trouble. He reached for the phone. One call to security and the guy would be gone. But he hesitated. Lena hadn't asked for help. Maybe she wanted to handle this herself. He put the phone down. For now. If you ever show up here again, I said slowly, I'll file a restraining order. Adrian's face paled. You don't mean that. Try me. A beat. Then his voice cracked. I love you. The words should have meant something. Once they would have moved mountains for me. No. No, I said softly. You just miss who I was when I loved you. I walked away, leaving him standing there. Finally understanding it was over. Rohan took one look at me when he opened his door and said, Rough day? I exhaled. You have no idea. He handed me a glass of wine. Start talking. And for the first time in weeks I did. The wine was a deep red, almost black in the dim lighting of Rohan's apartment. I swirled it absently in my glass, watching the liquid cling to the sides before sinking back down. I had talked for nearly an hour. Adrian's ambush at my office, his confrontation in the lobby, the way he had looked at me like I was something he could still salvage. Rohan had listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. Now he leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled under his chin. So, he's officially lost the plot. I let out a tired laugh. That's one way to put it. And you're sure you don't want to file that restraining order? Not yet. I took a sip. I'm hoping he'll finally take the hint. Rohan studied me for a long moment. Then quietly he said, "You're handling this a lot better than I would." That surprised me. Really? Mr. I treat relationships like contracts? A shadow flickered across his face. Yeah, well, even lawyers have weak spots. I hesitated. Is this about your ex-fiancé? He didn't answer right away. Instead he stood and walked to the window, his back to me. The city lights painted his silhouette in blues and golds. Her name was Aisha, he said finally. And I didn't just lose her. I let her go. The admission hung in the air, heavy with something I couldn't quite name. Across town, Priya was still at the office, squinting at her computer screen. The Kensington rebrand was due in 48 hours, and Lena's migraine had left her scrambling to finish the presentation. Her phone buzzed. "Mark, accounting you alive?" Priya ***, barely. "If I die, tell my cat I love her. ***. Mark ***, dramatic. "Want me to pick up coffee? ***. She smiled. "Only if you want to be my favorite person forever." Mark replied with a thumbs up. "Small mercies." I set my glass down. "What do you mean you let her go?" Rohan exhaled sharply, like the words were being dragged out of him. "She wanted kids. I didn't. Or I thought I didn't. By the time I realized I was being an idiot, she'd already moved on." He turned to face me. "Sound familiar?" It did. Painfully so. "So this," I gestured between us, "is what? A do-over?" No, he met my gaze. "It's a second chance. For both of us." The air between us shifted, charged with something new. Something dangerous. My phone buzzed, breaking the moment. "Mom ***, Adrian just called me. He's not doing well. I'm worried. ***. I clenched my jaw. "Unbelievable." Rohan raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. He's playing the 'I'm spiraling' card now." I stood abruptly. "I need to go." Rohan didn't try to stop me. Just nodded and said, "Text me when you're home." It wasn't a request. Adrian sat at a dimly lit bar, his third whiskey half gone. The bartender, a woman named Jess with a no-nonsense ponytail, watched him with practiced disinterest. "Rough night?" she asked, more out of habit than care. He laughed hollow. "You could say that." She wiped the counter. "Want to talk about it?" No, he drained his glass. "Just keep them coming." Jess sighed. "Another heartbroken idiot. At least he tipped well." I found my mother pacing her living room, her phone clutched in one hand. "He sounded drunk, Lena," she said the second I walked in, slurring his words, saying he didn't know how to fix this. "And you fell for it." I crossed my arms. "Mom, he's manipulating you. Or he's hurting." He gave me a look. "You don't just stop caring about someone after 5 years." I didn't. He did. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Finally she sighed. "Just talk to him. One last time. For me." I wanted to refuse. But the plea in her eyes, the same look she'd given me when I was 7 and refused to apologize for breaking Mrs. Cattry's window, undid me. "Fine," I muttered. "But this is the last time." Adrian picked up on the first ring. "Lena." His voice was raw, wrecked. I steeled myself. "What do you want?" A shaky breath. "I fucked up. I know I did. But I can't." His voice cracked. "I can't breathe without you. Once that would have shattered me. Now it just made me tired." "You'll learn," I said softly. Silence. Then a broken whisper. "Do you love him?" The question caught me off guard. Did I? No. But the truth was more complicated. "I don't know," I admitted. "But I could. And that's enough." A choked sob. "I hate this." "Me too." For the first time we were honest with each other. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my curtains and a text from Rohan. "Rohan ** still alive?" I smiled. "Barely." "Rohan ** good. Dinner tonight. **. I hesitated. Then, only if you promise no more X talk. Rohan *** deal. But I do want to hear how you destroyed Adrian's soul. **. I laughed. 7 p.m. Don't be late. ***. For the first time in weeks, the future didn't feel like something to dread. The restaurant Rohan chose for dinner was nothing like the others. Small, intimate, tucked away in a quiet corner of the city with soft lighting and the faint scent of rosemary in the air. I arrived early, nerves humming under my skin. Last night's conversation had shifted something between us, and I wasn't entirely sure what to do with that. Rohan was already seated when the hostess led me to the table, his sleeves rolled up to his elbows, a half-empty glass of whiskey in front of him. He stood when he saw me, a gesture so old-fashioned it made me smile. "You're early," he said. "So are you." He smirked. "I'm always early. You're the anomaly here." The waiter appeared before I could retort, and Rohan ordered a bottle of wine without glancing at the menu. Something expensive again. I was starting to think it was a habit. "So," I said once we were alone. "No X talk. What do we talk about?" He leaned back in his chair. "How about why you're still wearing that bracelet?" My hand flew to my wrist instinctively, fingers brushing the thin silver chain Adrian had given me for our 3rd anniversary. I hadn't even realized I'd put it on this morning. Old habits. I shrugged, feigning nonchalance. Forgot it was there. Rohan's gaze was too knowing. "Sure." The waiter returned with the wine, saving me from having to respond. The woman pouring our wine, Lila according to her name tag, had been working doubles all week to pay for her sister's tuition. She moved gracefully between tables, her smile never slipping, but her feet ached, and her thoughts were miles away, in a cramped apartment where her sister was probably burning instant noodles again. She didn't notice the way Rohan's fingers tensed around his glass when the door to the restaurant opened. But I did. Rohan's entire body went rigid, his eyes locked on something behind me. I turned just as a woman approached our table. Tall, effortlessly elegant, her dark hair swept into a loose bun. "Aisha," Rohan said, his voice carefully neutral. My stomach dropped. Aisha's smile was polite, practiced. "Rohan. I thought that was you." Her gaze flicked to me, curious but not unkind. I didn't mean to interrupt. "You're not," I said automatically, even though she absolutely was. A beat of awkward silence. Then Rohan cleared his throat. "Aisha, this is Lena." "Lena, Aisha." "Nice to meet you," Aisha said. "Likewise," I lied. She turned back to Rohan. "I'm in town for a few weeks. I tried calling but..." "I changed my number," he said flatly. Another pause. Aisha's smile faltered. "Right. Well, it was good seeing you." And just like that she was gone, leaving behind a trail of expensive perfume and a tension so thick I could barely breathe. Rohan drained his whiskey in one go. In the kitchen, Chef Marco was arguing with a supplier over the phone. "I don't care if there's a shortage, I need that truffle oil by Friday." He slammed the phone down, muttering curses under his breath. His sous chef Lucia rolled her eyes. "We could just take it off the menu." Take it off the Marco looked like he might explode. "Do you want the review from the Times to say we lack ambition again?" Lucia held up her hands. "Truffle oil it is." I waited until the waiter had refilled our glasses before speaking. "So, that was Aisha." Rohan's jaw tightened. "Yeah. Are you going to tell me what that was about?" He exhaled sharply. "She's here for a case. Wants to consult with me." I raised an eyebrow. "And that's all? Isn't it enough?" The defensiveness in his voice told me everything I needed to know. I took a slow sip of wine. "You still love her?" It wasn't a question. Rohan didn't deny it. While we sat in loaded silence, my phone buzzed. "Mom ***, Adrian showed up at the house again. I told him to leave but he's not well, Lena, ***. I clenched my teeth. "Not my problem. Mom ***, he's your ex, not a stranger. Have a little compassion. ***. I shoved my phone back into my purse before I could say something I'd regret. Dinner ended early, the air between us too charged to ignore. Rohan insisted on walking me home, but we barely spoke, the weight of Aisha's appearance hanging over us like a storm cloud. Outside my apartment he finally broke the silence. "I should have told you she was back in town." I crossed my arms. "Yeah. You should've. He ran a hand through his hair. It's not what you think. I'm not. Running back to her? I finished. Aren't you? The question hung between us, brutal in its honesty. Rohan looked away. I don't know. And that, more than anything, hurt the most. Mrs. Patel cracked her door open just enough to hear the argument in the hallway. Such drama, she thought, shaking her head. Young people these days. She closed the door softly, already planning how to spin this for tomorrow's mahjong game. Inside my apartment, I leaned against the door, my breath coming too fast. This was supposed to be simple. A rebound. A way to move on. But nothing was simple anymore. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't my mother. Adrian ***, I'm sorry. For everything. I just miss you. ***. I stared at the message, my chest aching. Then I typed out a reply, not to Adrian but to Rohan. Me ***, figure out what you want. Until then we're done. I hit send before I could second guess myself. 3 days passed without a word from Rohan. I told myself I didn't care. Threw myself into work, ignored my mother's worried calls, and deleted Adrian's increasingly desperate voicemails unplayed. But every time my phone buzzed, my stomach lurched, hope and dread twisting together until I couldn't tell them apart. On the 4th morning, Priya cornered me at the office coffee machine. Okay, spill, she said, blocking my escape route. You've been scowling at your screen like it personally offended you for days. Man trouble. I considered lying. That, I sighed. Isn't it always? She stole my coffee and took a sip. Is this about the hot lawyer or the sad ex haunting our lobby? Both. Neither. I rubbed my temples. It's complicated. Uh-huh. She handed the coffee back. Well, for what it's worth. You look like hell. Gee, thanks. Anytime. He grinned. Now come on. Diane wants to see us about the Kensington proofs. Work at least was a distraction, I understood. At my usual cafe, Jake the barista noticed my absence. He'd already memorized my order, large oat milk lot extra shot, and the quiet woman who'd taken my regular table just didn't fit right. Lena's MIA, he remarked to his coworker. Who? Never mind. He wiped down the espresso machine, oddly unsettled. I was elbow deep in design edits when Diane's assistant appeared at my desk. Lena, there's someone here to see you. I didn't look up. If it's Adrian, tell security. It's not Adrian. I turned. Aisha stood in the doorway of my office. We ended up on the building's rooftop terrace. The city sprawled beneath us. Aisha leaned against the railing, her posture relaxed in a way that made me feel painfully untogether. I owe you an apology, she said. I crossed my arms. For what? Showing up like that. Interrupting your dinner. She sighed. I didn't know about you. The implications stung. There isn't a me and Rohan. Not really. Aisha studied me. You sure about that? Wind whipped between us, carrying the distant honk of traffic. Why are you here? I asked. She hesitated. Rohan and I, we have history. But it's over. Has been for years. Then why'd you come back? Work. And closure, I guess. She met my eyes. He hasn't stopped talking about you. My breath caught. Back in the office, Diane was fielding a meltdown from the Kensington CO. The font is all wrong, he bellowed through the phone. Diane pinched the bridge of her nose. Mr. Hayes, we've been over this. You approved the font. I've changed my mind. I want something bold. Daring. Priya, eavesdropping, mouthed, "Oh my God," to Mark. Aisha toyed with her necklace. Rohan's stubborn. And scared. But when he cares about someone. She smiled faintly. He really cares. I swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? Give him a chance to figure his shit out. She pushed off the railing. And for what it's worth, I hope he doesn't screw this up. With that, she left me standing there, the city humming below. I pulled out my phone. Me ***, we need to talk. Rohan responded instantly. Name the place. We met at the pier, where the salty breeze off the water made conversation feel less suffocating. Rohan looked like he hadn't slept in days. Aisha came to see me, I said. He closed his eyes. Of course she did. She said you talk about me. Pause. Then quietly, all the damn time. The admission hung between us, fragile as sea foam. I took a shaky breath. So what now? He stepped closer. Now I ask if you'll give me another chance. The waves crashed against the pilings, rhythmic and relentless. I reached for his hand. Adrian sat in his car outside Lena's apartment, a half-empty bottle of whiskey on the passenger seat. He'd been there for hours watching the lights in her windows, working up the courage to knock. When he saw her walking up the sidewalk, holding hands with that lawyer, something inside him shattered. He started the car and drove away. That night, curled on Rohan's couch with his arm around me, I finally listened to Adrian's voicemails. I can't do this without you. Sis. Please just tell me what to do. Sis. I love you. Sis. I deleted them one by one until the inbox was empty. Rohan pressed a kiss to my temple. Okay. I leaned into him. Getting there. Waking up in Rohan's bed felt surreal. Sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, painting stripes across the rumpled sheets. His arm was slung over my waist, his breathing slow and even against my back. For a moment I just lay there listening to the quiet hum of the city outside, the weight of his touch both foreign and familiar. Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I twisted carefully, trying not to wake him, and grabbed it. Mom ***, Adrian's mother called. He was in a car accident last night. The words blurred. My fingers tightened around the phone. Not serious, the next text read. Just a fender bender. But he was drunk. A sharp exhale escaped me. Rohan stirred behind me. Morning, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. His hand slid up to brush my shoulder. You okay? I turned the screen face down. Yeah. Just work stuff. He studied me for a beat, then nodded, pressing a kiss to the back of my neck before rolling out of bed. Coffee. Please. The moment the bedroom door closed, I called my mother. Adrian's mother sat in the ER waiting room, clutching a styrofoam cup of coffee that had long gone cold. The doctor had said he was fine, just bruised and hungover, but the look on his face when they'd brought him in, she'd never seen her son like that. Broken. A nurse approached. Mrs. Hayes? He's asking for Lena. She closed her eyes. She's not coming. You should go. Rohan set a mug of coffee in front of me, his expression unreadable. I looked up sharply. What? Adrian. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. You should see him. I wrapped my hands around the mug, letting the heat seep into my skin. Why? Because you'll regret it if you don't. The quiet certainty in his voice made my throat tighten. I took a shaky sip of coffee. And you're okay with that? I'm not okay with it, he admitted. But I'm not going to stop you. I studied him, the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw clenched slightly. He meant it. I reached for his hand. Thank you. He squeezed my fingers. Just come back. At work, Priya and Mark huddled by the water cooler. Did you hear? Priya whispered. Lena's ex got a DUI last night. Mark winced. Yikes. Think she'll take him back? Doubt it. Not with hot lawyer in the picture. Diane cleared her throat behind them. Don't you two have work to do? They scattered. The smell of antiseptic hit me the second I stepped off the elevator. Adrian was in a corner room, the door slightly ajar. I hesitated, then pushed it open. He looked up, eyes bloodshot, a bruise darkening his temple. For a long moment we just stared at each other. Then quietly he said, You came. I shut the door behind me. You're an idiot. A weak laugh. Yeah. I stayed by the door, arms crossed. Driving drunk, Adrian? Really? He looked down at his hands. I wasn't thinking. That's the problem. My voice cracked. You never think. His breath hitched. I know. Silence settled between us, heavy with everything we weren't saying. Finally I stepped closer. You need help. He swallowed hard. Will you? No, I cut him off gently. But your mom will. Your friends will. You will if you let them. His eyes glistened. I miss you. I know. I reached out, brushing my fingers over his bruised knuckles. But I can't fix this for you. A tear slipped down his cheek. I'm sorry. This time I believed him. Mrs. Cattry sat at her usual table, stirring sugar into her tea. She'd seen Lena rush out earlier, her face pale. She thought. The reckoning. She took a slow sip, watching the world move on outside the window. Rohan was on the couch when I got back, paperwork spread across the coffee table. He looked up the second I walked in. How is he? I dropped my bag by the door. Alive. Stupid. Remorseful. He nodded, setting aside his files. And you? I sank onto the couch beside him, exhaustion crashing over me. I don't know. He pulled me into his arms and I went willingly, tucking my face against his neck. His heartbeat was steady under my cheek. You did the right thing, he murmured. I closed my eyes. Then why does it hurt so much? He didn't answer. Just held me tighter. Later that night my phone buzzed. Adrian *, thank you. I didn't reply. But for the first time in weeks the guilt in my chest eased slightly. We took the long way back, the night air thick with the scent of impending rain. Rohan was quiet, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. Finally he said, I should tell you something. My stomach dropped. Okay. Aisha's not just here for the case. He stared straight ahead. She's moving back. Permanently. Kept my voice even. And, he exhaled. She asked if there was still a chance for us. The sidewalk seemed to tilt under my feet. I stopped walking. What did you say? He turned to face me, his expression raw. I said no. The words hung there, fragile. I swallowed hard. Why? Because I'm not in love with her. He stepped closer. I'm in love with you. The world narrowed to the space between us, to the way his hands trembled slightly as they cupped my face. I should have said it sooner, he murmured. I kissed him instead of answering, the taste of soy sauce and honesty on his lips. I woke to sunlight and the smell of burnt toast. Rohan stood in the doorway of the bedroom, a plate in one hand, looking sheepish. I tried. I laughed, pulling him back into bed. You're terrible at this. He kissed my shoulder. But you love me anyway. The words settled over me, warm and sure. Yeah, I said. I do. The end.